Let's define technology versus innovation versus disruption. And I think in Australia, disruptive innovation, all these terms are kind of overused, frankly, but there is a lot of opportunity right now to disrupt a lot of industries, including financial services, including real estate, including a lot of industries in Australia that have been relatively protected so far or haven't been victims of disruption yet. Let's not wait for those to be, the Ubers that come here. There's a few areas Australia historically has been very strong on. Financial services or fintech is one of them. We should be building world-class fintech companies here where there's no excuse that we wouldn't. I don't think that Australia should be waiting for US venture capitalists to set up shop here. There's a lot of talent here. We shouldn't be waiting for someone else like the US to save us from our problems. We should be really investing in our own people and our own businesses. And so if that happens, if US venture funds come, great. But let's not hold our breath for that and create options, to grow companies here. Australia is maturing in the way that it's looking at risk, investment, and encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation. Expectations are different in terms of the role of government. Broadly speaking, in the US and entrepreneurial communities, there's not an expectation the government's going to be involved. There's almost an open desire for the government to just get out of the way. In Australia, I see a slightly different perspective. There's more discussion around subsidies and encouragement and tax incentives and a lot of incentives or handouts, as one politician on the panel talked about. And that's just not part of the same dialogue in the US. It's very hard to look at Silicon Valley today and from an Australian perspective to look at Silicon Valley and say, why can't we be that? I think there's two things, and education is critical to this. One is, Silicon Valley is still pretty young, and what you see today has evolved over a relatively short period of time. The venture capital community in Silicon Valley really didn't start in a meaningful way until 1980, post the Apple IPO. So it's still a relatively nascent industry, and it's been quite successful, which is great, but there's an opportunity for Australia to do that here as well. And I think from a university perspective, clearly Stanford, Berkeley, Caltech, many institutions have been critical to the development of household names, and Sun Microsystems. It's actually Sun University Networks, HP, etc. So our MIT and other strong universities in Australia have the opportunity to be a critical part of that technology ecosystem here. Integrating the political aspect, which this forum does very effectively, I thought was one of the best sort of interweavings of politics and technology that I've seen. Secondly, again, that's this elevated discussion around how strategically do we think about really looking at long-term investment in the technology ecosystem here so we can be our own Silicon Valley, not that Silicon Valley, but Australia's version. That is exactly where the best minds have to be focused.